Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Walker. On the news this hour, Senate Committee on Diaspora set to meet with the Chairman, Diaspora Commission, in light of recent attacks on Nigerians in South Africa. More reactions trail the attacks on foreign nationals in South Africa as we deliberate the country's diplomatic shuttle to the country. And it's a mixed shade of opinions trailing President Muhammadu Buhari's second term's first 100 days in office. The presidency scores self-high as opposition party asks president to step up performance. Against the run of attacks on foreign nationals in South Africa, the Senate Committee on Diaspora is meeting with the Chairman Diaspora Commission, Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa, at the National Assembly. The consultation is expected to come up with an action plan on the perceived xenophobic attacks in South Africa. We'll be joining our correspondent a little later on. But interested parties in the Nigeria-South Africa relationship face off. They've been asked to remain calm and allow investigations and also other due process mechanisms to take place over these xenophobic attacks. And that's the opinion of Nigeria's High Commissioner to South Africa, Kabiru Bala. He told Channels Television's Ladia Keuduru Ale on our current affairs program, Newsnight, just before the most current spate of attacks, that because of the strategic importance of the relationship, caution needs to be exercised and due process mechanisms allowed to take place. Take a listen.
We shouldn't, naturally, when life is involved, people can be emotional. That I accept. But when you are engaged in a relationship between two very major important countries, we need to be a bit circumspect and allow the due process to take its natural course. Naturally, people will want a quick action. As soon as something happens, you want to see results. But there are things that maybe you don't see results immediately. And there are things that you need to do behind the scenes so that maybe investigations are not jeopardized. And maybe we shouldn't also jump to conclusions. We should allow the due process to go on until when we have all the evidences and all the facts and all the figures, then we can now draw our own conclusions. That is my own attitude to it, and that is what I will encourage all Nigerians and all South Africans not to jump to conclusions when things like this do happen. They do happen.
For the full interview with Ambassador Bala, do watch Newsnight today, September the 9th, 2019 at 9 p.m. only on Channels Television. These are earlier scenes of tension at the Johannesburg Central Business District, where a joint deployment of South African National and Metropolitan Police has been closely monitoring Jefferstown and surrounding areas following notices of a gathering to be addressed by Inkatha Freedom Party leader Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi in the town. A crowd of about 1,200 hostile residents gathered at Murray Park shortly into the address by the Prince. A splinter group disrupted the address and left before proceedings were concluded. The angry locals, mostly Zulus, are calling for foreign nationals to leave the country. A statement from the police asked many commuters and churchgoers to keep away from the area around the Central Business District. Incidents of attacks on businesses have since been reported in parts of CBD, where police fired stun grenades and rubber bullets to restrain the growing crowd who attempted to move through the CBD via Coronabri and Twist streets. well, for more perspectives on the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. Nigeria's former ambassador to Mali, Ambassador Elianu, who joins us right now from our Abuja studios. We'd like to thank you for joining us on the program. When we hear stories, I mean, like the last one, it says that things are far from over, that there is still a major threat and to not just other nationals, but also Nigerians living in South Africa.
We are really going through a very, very difficult time with what is happening, in South Africa, and the so-called xenophobic backlash that Nigerians and other black Africans are faced with is something really that will require a very firm diplomatic and other approaches, to deal with it. It's now looking more of mob actions, and these are things that government cannot easily control. And so you find out that it's going to last for a while, and it will take beyond what we are seeing to be able to deal with it. So we are going to live with it, for a while until certain measures are taken, spanning from the municipal, to the federal government in South Africa, and then our diplomatic approaches taking, firm position as to exactly what Nigeria could do. But before then, we are going to live with it really for a while.
Ambassador Nuhu, when you say certain firm actions, if we look at some of the federal government special envoy and some of do you think we follow the adequate path to curbing these attacks?
Well, like I said earlier, these are more like mob actions. But it's not like it's not been going on. It's quite a number of years. This kind of reactions, have been going on.
So far,
it's the position Nigeria took is very normal because you are dealing with two countries. It's not like somebody invade your territory and you have to mobilize the national army, to deal with. So it is an issue between two countries, and we need to take it step by step. So reacting to it at home and then sending an envoy to go and ascertain precisely what is on the ground to further give us the ability to take firmer, action is very, very in order. And I think so far it's been very wonderful.
do you think that that report will be made public? A lot of people really want to know the contents of that report. And do you see that happening? Also, we hear that when the special envoy came back, South African officials hinted that the country's relationship with Nigeria remains firm and strong, and that the two partners were resolute in their shared commitments to peace in Africa. But for the people in both countries, it tells a different story.
Well, Nigeria-South Africa relations they've been very firm, and under the binational, commission, so many activities are ongoing. I remember in 2009, when we celebrated the 10th anniversary of our BNC, so many programs were put on the ground. We call them flagship, programs. But unfortunately, Nigeria and South Africa never really looked at certain things that could come up as a result of growing population in South Africa, Nigerian growing or population in South Africa, growing, businesses, between the two countries. So not much, was done. But in terms of whether this report will be made known, I think basically it's a report that is for those that need to know and those that need to fashion, policy. So you will see probably the outcome, of the visit through the kind of policies that are going to be fashioned towards addressing, this, this carnage. And then along the line, the populace will be in a position to understand that these things are not easily settled just by talking from within the two countries. It is by really engaging in so many difficult negotiations and getting to positions that really satisfy both parties, that issues like that can be dealt with. So that whether the report will be made known immediately, I doubt it very much. But we will be able to see strands, of the report in the policies that are going to be fashioned by the federal government towards addressing this particular matter.
Indeed, we've also listened to several eyewitness accounts of how, at present, Nigerians are living in fear in South Africa. They're saying there's no brotherly love, and essentially they're scared. What stance do you see, or do you think the federal government should take now? We know that the president is billed to visit South African counterpart in October. What do you see happening after that?
It's at the moment, three things could be done. One is getting the government at the lower level to create an environment where nationals of other countries, especially of African countries, are given protection. A buffer zone could be created. But that is also where the administration itself is amenable to doing, to protecting, the nationals. And then the South African government, must put security outfit in check all over the country, to ensure that nobody is molested wherever they are, because, fundamentally, that is a duty that they are supposed to have provided. Thirdly, the South African government, especially officials, must come out, go to their constituencies, and then talk to their constituencies about what is happening, and probably opening up a bit on the roles Nigeria had played in giving South Africa the very position that it is enjoying today. If that had not reflected in their history, I think somebody should be in a position to go about drumming this, and then trying in whichever way to pacify the gullible masses that are out on the streets and perpetrating this kind of hatred, which is not allowed, anywhere in the world.
All right. We would like to appreciate your time with us, Nigeria's former ambassador to Mali, Ambassador Iliya Nuhu, for joining us on the program. Well, just before we take a break, the Federal High Court in Abuja is resuming sitting on the petition by Jones Oyeriri of the People's Democratic Party challenging the All Progressives Congress Senator Rochas Okorocha's Imo West senatorial ticket. The INEC returning officer, after declaring Senator Rochas Okorocha winner, had also stated at that time that the declaration was made under threat to life. We'll be getting more on that story. But when we come, we'll take a look at the president's first 100 days in office. Please join us again.